Hold on, folks, just for a second. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's see if we can do this for a third time without any kind of interruption. But yeah, these are kind of like a redo of some vids I did last night. And the reason I say it's sort of like a redo is because I was tired and you probably didn't really understand a word I was saying. So, anyway, there's one thing I want to talk about in this video, and if it's two parts, I do apologize. One of the things I want to talk about, is the fact that, okay, first of all, for some of you that may or may not know, I'm part of this website, just like I'm a member of Furfinient and DeviantArt and Furfinient and SoFurry and all these other sites like YouTube and whatever. Well, maybe not YouTube, but something like SoFurry, Furfinient, and DeviantArt and several sites that are similar to them. There's one site that I'm also a part of. Now, some people might find this to be a very strange site, very unusual, especially what it's focused on. It's known to many people as Eka's Portal. That's right, it's known as Eka's Portal. And the reason it's named that is it focuses on a variety of subjects, if you will. It focuses on a variety of subjects. And whether you're a fan of them or you're into them or whatever, it focuses on them. And the website is basically ARYION.com. ARYION.com. And I've been on this site, I've been a member of this site for a few years now. I believe, maybe more so. Maybe more so, but I think just for a few years now. And one thing I've noticed about this site is it's very similar in some ways to DeviantArt and Furfinient. You know, it allows people to post their works, whether it's artwork, little animations, stories, whatever. It allows them to post it on the website to share with everybody. And by allowing them to share it with everybody, people could see exactly, what, certain members are into the most, or what they favor and love or like the most. It also allows them, just like DeviantArt and Furfinient, to blog about their status. The biggest difference, though, is you can actually not just blog about it and share it with everybody like you would do with DeviantArt and Furfinient on your homepage, but it also allows you to have it as part of a form. That's right. Basically, all you do, apparently, from what I understand, is you type it up on the form, on your form, basically, on your portion of the form, and it appears as a blog in front of everybody else. Well, here's the thing. It appears partially as a blog, as a journal entry to everybody else, but the only way they could read the rest is to click on the link, and it'll take them directly to the form part, the message board portion, to see the rest of it, to read the rest of it. So, anyway, like I said, I've been part of this website for a while, and I haven't really posted anything because I haven't figured that one out yet. I don't know what's going on there, but I have favored. I have favored a lot of a lot of artwork and stories that people have done. And like I said, whether you're a fan of it or not, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty fun to read, eat, and everything. So, you know, with that said, though, one thing I have noticed though, with one of the people I've subscribed to, I'm following basically that I'm following. One of the people that I'm following on this site, um, about 6 months ago or so, this person, like I said, who I'm following, um, commissioned a videographer, commissioned basically a video filmmaker, or as some people call him, a videographer, like a photographer or a photographer. Basically, this is a videographer, you know, something like that. It's basically the equivalent of a photographer. It's a or a photographer. This is a videographer, if you will. This is basically the equivalent of it. Basically, it's a filmmaker that is able to kind of do things in a very, using elements of photography and video, movie making, stuff like that, I guess. I don't know. But, long story short, the person that I'm following had paid, not just out of their money, but out of, I believe, from what I've read, I believe out of the support of everybody else that follows them, they paid this individual, this videographer, well, to create and bring to life a visual adaptation of the stories, the written stories, as well as some of the animations they did. Yeah. Mainly it's a, like I said, mainly it's a visual representation of the stories, and I think some of the little pictures and animations they had done. So they commissioned, like I said, this videographer, this photographer, videographer, if you will, to create sort of a little web mini movie, or a little mini movie based on one of the stories. Now, what this person is into is basically absorption, merging, and fusion. Let's just put it that way. And the thing is, they, like I said, they had paid this individual, this videographer, this filmmaker, if you will, a decent amount of money out of not just their pocket, but out of the pockets of other people that have given them the money to give to this individual to make this project a reality, from what I understand. So again, long story short, over the past 6 months, this project has sort of in limbo, if you know what I mean. What I mean is, just when it looks like, you know, some progress will occur, that's when it comes to a halt. And there's always some kind of reasoning or excuse on behalf of the person, on the commissioned individual, on basically the videographer. There's always an excuse. There's always a reasoning. There's an excuse. Now, one can understand that if somebody, and this is one of the more recent reasons, people can kind of understand that sometimes, and this is in Hollywood as well, that sometimes, when somebody passes away, like let's say a loved one passes away or a close friend passes away, of course you're going to take time off to attend the funeral and all of that, and kind of help with the grieving process, the mourning process, if you will. But after a while, you do come back and you start to refocus on the project at hand. And not saying that that's not and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Hold on for a second. Okay, like I'm saying, that's not a bad thing or anything that you want to take time off and pay your respects and all that to the family, to your fellow friends and all that. But in time, you do have to come back and refocus on your project afterwards, because basically that's what your friend or your family member that passed on would want you to do. They'd want you to move on and focus on your job, focus on your life, and not let their passing overwhelm you. They'd want you to move on, and a lot of people do. I mean, take a look at Hollywood, for example. When somebody, for example, with the Fast and the Furious series, they could have easily stopped doing Fast and Furious. They could have easily stopped doing it. They didn't have to do number 7, right? They didn't have to do number 7. But you know what? They did. Why? Because they knew Paul Walker would want them to do it. They knew he'd want them to move on and do the project and involve his brother somehow. And that's what they did. They involved his brother. Either he took his place as the same character he portrayed, or maybe they're going to, I don't know. And maybe they're using computer enhancements to kind of make it look like him. The thing is, they could have easily stopped doing pre-production or production on Fast and Furious 7, and that's it. They could have not done it at all. But they moved on and they did it. Because that's what he would have wanted. And that's exactly, even with amateurs or up-and-coming filmmakers or whatever, that they know the same thing is true for anybody that would pass, that's a loved one or a close friend or something like that. They know that that's what that close friend or that loved one would want them to do, to move on. So with that being said, again, like I said, that was the more recent reasoning why production or progress on these adaptations, these visual adaptations of the stories that involve the absorption, the fusion, and the merging, most recently have been put on hold. Now, the person that commissioned, the commissioner, if you will, the commissioner here, understands that portion that I talked about just now. But also, even before then, and even in the recent journal entry, they're kind of wondering, like I said, in the recent journal entry, they can understand, and a lot of people can understand, the whole, respect, showing respect, kind of taking time out and showing respect to, like I said, a deceased loved one, to someone that had passed away. Like I mentioned just now, but then going and moving on because that's what they would want you to do and continue your work. Just like I said with the whole Fast and Furious deal, But, there's one thing in taking time out to do that, to pay the respects and all that, and go through the mourning and grieving process and everything. But then it's another to keep making excuse and making excuse. I mean, even before this latest entry, in one of his other entries, or one of the other entries, I should say, they kind of started to show a little bit of frustration from what I can see. It's like they're trying to let patience be the guide. They're trying to let patience be the guide they need, so that in the long run, should the project get finished, it'll be worth the long wait. But it seems you could kind of tell that patience is wearing thin with this person, because it's been 6 months. They've been told time after time that it's going to get done. They've been told time after time it's going to get done at a certain time, and it hasn't been done. And the way I look at it, folks, the way I look at it is one of two ways. One of two ways. Now, hear me out. One way is the fact that the commissioned person, like I said, is a filmmaker, videographer, whatever you want to call him. He's mentioned to the commissioner, to the person that's commissioned him, that's paid him, that he has other projects that he's been paid more money for. Mainly like commercials and stuff like that. And one could understand, okay, you're getting paid more to do that, and that becomes your number one priority because you're getting paid more, and commercials sometimes need to be done at a certain due date. So we get that. We can understand that, anybody could. But still, even after you do that, you should refocus on the project at hand that you've been paid to do. So, okay, we could accept that. The commissioner, the person that's paid for this project to happen, can understand that. But after so long, it makes you start to wonder whether or not the person that's been paid really wants to do this project. Because I can understand. In fact, I've been on this website many times. Like I said, I've been here on YouTube many times. And like places like YouTube and several others, I've seen people come out and bash those that are into this whole absorption, fusion, merging kind of genre, if you will. They've kind of come out and bashed them about that and everything. So I can understand that maybe he's one of those people that, even though he's been paid to do this, that he's not really into it. And he doesn't really like exactly the direction, the story he has to adapt visually. He doesn't really like the direction that it's going in because of that fact. And to me, I think he's reluctant to finish it because, like I said, maybe of what he's seen from a script-wise, because as anybody knows, when you write a script, you kind of focus on what the scenes are. Like, okay, what happens in this scene visually? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? So you kind of basically visually get an idea of what's going to occur next. And basically, like I said, it seems to me that